Okay, we'll call the meeting to order tonight for the City of Saratoga Springs, Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024 at 6:02 p.m. Present tonight, I have Councilman Carn, Councilman Wilden, Councilman Comber, Councilwoman Barton. Has Councilman Wadman joined us yet online?
Owen just left. Is Wadman online?
Yeah.
He's not online yet.
Okay, he's not online yet. We do have a quorum. He'll be joining us later. Councilman Wilden just said he would like to offer our invocation this evening. Councilman Carner, Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful this day, and we're grateful for the opportunity to meet as a city council, and we ask thee to bless us this evening, that we'll be able to make good decisions for our current residents and those who may come here. And we ask thee to bless all those that live and work in the city with safety and well-being. And these things we say in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ, amen.
Rise and join me in prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public input. Time has been set aside for the public to express ideas, concerns, comments, and subject matter not listed on the agenda. There's no public hearings tonight. Please state your name and address for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please avoid repetitive comments. Time will be limited to no more than 15 minutes total. Is anybody here for public input? Okay, I will close the public input. Reports from the council. Councilman Comber.
I just want to thank the civic event staff for an amazing event last night. I mean, the crowds were way over than what we expected. I think we found a new tradition on the week of the 4th. A salute to America. I think so many people said they would love to see this every year. Things I saw on social media were just purely positive. I think the vendors were really excited because they all sold out pretty much. So many of the trucks left early, the booths left early. And so I think it's a good partnership with our farmers market to give them a big event. And they'll be prepared in the future, obviously. But if you could please share that, Annalisa, with the rest of staff, just how much we appreciated such an amazing event. And the fireworks, if I have to say, I think they were even a little better than Splash Days. He was into the 4th of July, I think, because those were pretty amazing. And he had 3 fake outs, which people appreciate, where, you know, those of you who don't know, is when the fireworks, you think it's the finale, but it wasn't, then they keep going. So he did a fantastic job. If you can let him know how much we appreciated that as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yep. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll mark administration.
We do have need for a closed session tonight.
Okay. Seeing nothing else, we'll move on. Entertain a motion on the consent items.
So made.
I have a first from Councilman McComber. Second from Councilwoman Barton. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Attorney?
Oh, I just was waiting for business item 1.
What was that?
I was just waiting for you to call business item 1.
Oh, okay. You were just trigger happy. Okay, resolution to amend the public comment period for the creation of the new school district.
Mayor and council, on June 19th, the Utah legislature met in a special session and passed House Bill 3003. One of the things that it did is it specified the public comment period, or basically set a public comment period if a city through interlocal agreements proposed to create a new school district. The public comment period for this year must be from July 1st to July 31st. It also shortened the public comment period from 45 to 30 days. So in trying to basically mesh the two laws together, which is what appears to be happening, we determined that we would have to extend the public comment period through the end of the month, so we could comply with the new requirement to have the public comment period be from July 1st to July 31st. So we've done that, and this resolution in front of you also determines that we will meet, council will meet and make a final decision on the school district, new school district creation through the interlocal agreement on August 6th. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. There's other things that House Bill 3003 did, but those are the main ones that affected us.
Okay, Councilman Carn?
I just, Kevin, can you remind me when our original public comment period was supposed to end?
It was supposed to end July 5th, so we're still.
So we're adding about
public
a
comment
month
period.
to ours.
Yeah, we're
That's great.
extending it so we can comply with that requirement where it sets it to be July 1st through July 31st. It's a pretty interesting bill because it doesn't necessarily anticipate what happened in Saratoga Springs, but this is the best that we could do in complying with the new law.
Okay,
A motion.
I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve business item 1, resolution to amend public comment period for the creation of a new school district pursuant to House Bill 303 and Utah Code 53G-3-301.4, Resolution 24-44 dated today.
Okay, I have a first from Councilman Carn.
I'll second.
I have a second from Councilwoman Barton. Any further discussion?
I should have just also mentioned that under this House Bill 3003, we don't have to have another public hearing. The previous public hearings we had qualify.
Okay, perfect.
Just for, if anybody's here for the school district item.
Okay. Roll call, Barton?
Aye.
Comber?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Carn?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We have the Northern Frontier Business Park, Lot 4.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight we have, of course, I was moving it around. We have the Northern Frontier Business Park, Lot 4 site plan. This is located at 2238 North Redwood Road. This is right there on the corner of Fall Harvest, north of Empire Flooring, Temp Rental. And it is zoned office warehouse, and the site plan is pretty basic, pretty simple. They meet their parking requirements, landscaping, building materials, and so forth. Just to make note on the landscaping, the frontage along Redwood Road was done by the developer, so that trail is in, I'm pretty sure it is in, because I think they're out of warranty, they're in warranty. So, and Brad's over here shaking his head. So that is in, so it's part of the landscaping requirement for this lot, but it is already improved. So with that, elevations meet all of our requirements as far as building articulation, colors, materials, glass, windows. You can see what is bubbled is what we asked them to change to meet our code. With that, Staff Planning Commission has reviewed this and staff recommends approval.
Okay. Any comments from the council?
Sorry, and the applicant, I believe, is here. Austin.
Would you like to add anything? Okay. It's nice when it's all complies.
I was just gonna say.
So if that's the case, I will entertain a motion.
I just had one quick question, just question for the applicant, is if he has any idea or interest that he could share about potential tenants or type of tenants that may go in there?
Yeah, so this name is Austin Cooper. This is to be purchased by In-N-Out.
Oh, in and out. Well,
Yeah, this is going to be their distribution center for this region.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve business item 2 as stated on the agenda, including any staff findings and conditions.
Second?
I have a first from Councilman Wilden, a second from Councilman Carn. Any further discussion? Barton?
Aye.
Carn?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Comber?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
You might tell them they might have an In-N-Out in the city so they can distribute to that.
We're talking to him. Hopefully,
Just a joke, but thanks.
but not a joke.
I'll just wait out.
Animal
Warehouse.
Animal style all the way.
Okay, we're pulling item 3 tonight, and we'll move that to a future agenda. Item 4, Arcadia Springs Development IADU map amendment.
I think it was pulled per the applicant.
Correct, but
Okay, Mayor and Council, we have another application to review. I do believe the applicant is here. If you would like to come forward, you're welcome to. Representing the Arcadia Springs Plat A and B neighborhoods, which are part of the planned community zone. And they do have an HOA, which has heard and recommended approval or approved it on their behalf to go forward in application to the city. So the location, as you see here, is just northwest of the bend of Crossroads Boulevard before it meets down to Crossroads, Pioneer Crossing. We've got a lot of crosses in this community. It is 2 plats on this neighborhood, which makes a pretty perfect rectangle there. The amount of homes, 63 lots. And again, showing the location on our current IADU map, where the red and the green are shown as to whether areas are approved or not approved for IADUs. And the exhibits as shown in your packet there include the checklist, which complies with proposed subdivision IADU location, impact statement, which they have submitted according to the information that they have, and the HOA board meeting minutes, which shows the approval. With that, the Planning Commission has reviewed this and recommended approval. So we're ready for any questions.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
I should know because I drive past this regularly, but what percentage of the homes are done?
I believe it's 100%.
Is it 100%?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's the 2 senior living communities that we're sandwiched between, and those are what you're probably thinking of, both communities are still being worked on.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
other comments?
So will you just remind me, like, what's the percentage that has to be in favor for this to happen in a community?
So there's 2 ways of doing this. So if it's, if there's an HOA, then the HOA makes the determination, and they will forward their recommendation or their approval on with the application. If there is no HOA, then it's 66%
Of the residents?
of the residents need to sign a petition in favor.
Okay, so this one has an HOA, and the HOA has forwarded a positive, okay.
And just so you know, our HOA told us that if we didn't pay for it ourselves, then it would have to go to a vote if it were to come out of the HOA funds to approve the entire neighborhood. So it just kind of depends on whether or not they're willing to, pay out of it.
Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Nobody's anxious to develop density.
I move that we approve business item number 4, Arcadia Springs Development, IADU map amendments to Title 19, Land Development Code of the City of Saratoga Springs, Chapter 19.20, located northwest of 14 North and Crossroads Boulevard, Madison, but applicant ordinance 2427 dated for today.
Okay, I have a first from Councilwoman Barton.
I'll second, but I have some questions.
Okay, I have a second from Councilman Wilden. Any further comments?
Yeah, I think I was reading through, it talked about, I don't know if it was in the planning commission minutes or the board minutes, I don't remember, talking about requiring parking for the IADUs to be not on, has to be off-street. Now, is that coming from the HOA, or where is that
That's
coming
us.
from?
Well, the HOA is recommending that, but it is a city ordinance requirement. So to have at least one.
That's what I was going to ask,
off-street.
has to be one, right?
Yeah.
But the HOA is more restrictive, and they're saying all have to be off the street.
That's good. So I mean, that's where I think most of the problems come from, honestly.
Is the parking.
The parking on street, which is just a disaster regardless of whatever neighbor says. So,
Okay,
I got one comment. So I'm gonna vote for this because the residents have jumped through all the hoops that we asked them to. But we try really hard not to add more density. The state has caused this problem for us. And I understand that the residents here will want to rent out their basements, and they're also probably some of the same ones complaining about density in our city. So it's kind of a catch-22.
It's a hard one for us. I feel like that we have to,
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a choice here.
we don't have a choice in it.
I do have one comment as well. I was going to wait till after the vote, but I'll put it as part of the motion, the additional comments. But I really do want us as a city to be analyzing the impact from a traffic impact that everyone in the city pretty much that doesn't is starting, it just comes in regularly, that we need to look at, to the mayor's joke, that we're basically every home in Saratoga Springs, if it's on a quarter block, is a potential duplex. And we need to be looking at the road impacts, the traffic impacts, traffic studies need to be looking at, maybe it's 75% or 80% are gonna be duplexes and how that's going to change traffic, safe walking routes for schools, all of that. We need to be treating it as a high-density city now.
Right.
Thank
Well,
you.
and as you're aware, we recently increased in the Public Works standards, increased the width of our right-of-way for
The
residential
roadway,
roads.
yeah. the
We can only
cross-section.
increase it to what the state allows us to.
Right.
yeah.
But we can do traffic studies that show the impact, and we can charge different impact fees, et cetera. So, thank you.
Do these, when they become rentals, have a different impact fee?
No.
We cannot, okay.
We can charge
We
them
just
a
absorb
rental
it to the taxpayers?
registration.
Okay.
We are somewhat limited on what we can charge them.
How does it affect like our sewer and our water systems and stuff like that?
Exactly.
That's,
Taxpayers pay.
right?
It does, it affects
Yeah.
everything, because you plan on certain amount of
And then when you double that or
door, and then
you.
eventually
oh,
double it. Yeah, I mean, the entire city was planned on no ID.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we got a motion.
Okay,
okay.
Any further comments?
Nope.
Barton?
Aye.
Comber?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Carn?
hi.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
I would like to mention, there has been recent communication via email to the council regarding proposed or some possible amendments to our IADU code. So we are scheduling a work session in August so that we can review those and you can give us feedback, direction if you would like to see further amendments to that code.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, in the future, because it is a property right that's given up, 66% seems like a low threshold for people who bought into that. Can we raise that threshold?
I agree with that.
You know, I mean, if you want to buy a duplex, but
It's a big impact on the neighborhood. It really is.
it is, it's an impact on the city, but if we could, as we look at redoing the code, then, thank you, Ken. Okay, item 5, Saratoga Town Center.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item is for a site plan application located just north of Crossroads Boulevard and at the intersection of Commerce at approximately 1457 North Commerce Road. This is the site plan for the application, which is proposing several restaurant uses within this building. The site layout, as shown here, does comply with our code. Here is the landscaping sheet. I apologize, the landscaping sheet that was included in your packet was not the most up-to-date version. We sent that to you, I believe, yesterday, showing the reflected changes that does comply with our code. You can see that here in the presentation. Their landscaping does meet code as proposed. There is one item that is up for discussion this evening regarding the architectural elevations for the building, specifically with regard to the color palette that has been chosen for the building. Section 19.16072 of the code states that no more than 75% of any building elevation shall consist of any one material or color. As proposed, the applicant is proposing multiple shades of gray on the building, and I'll show it here. When speaking with the applicant, there was some concern from staff side that the multiple shades of gray may cause this to go over that 75% threshold. We asked them to come back with an alternative elevation utilizing a different color. As proposed, that was a dark red brick. And I have a couple of pictures here of what those two color schemes would look like on the building that were provided to us by the applicant. And then additionally, we surveyed some of the buildings in the immediate vicinity so that you could get a feel for some of the color palettes that are out there on the buildings that are already built or proposed and approved in that area. So here's that first alternative with the dark gray charcoal colored brick as it's proposed. That picture there on the left gives a good idea of what each of those colors will look like on the building. That second alternative, the two light gray and medium gray colors would be the same, but this is a representation of what that dark red brick would look like in place of the dark gray or charcoal colored brick along the lower third of the elevation. To give an idea of some of the buildings that are in the area, the star on the map on the left represents where this building will be located. The building that is boxed is the one that's being shown here. So immediately to the west of this building is the Legends Boxing Yonuts building. It uses the same color palette and materials that are currently being proposed with that gray color palette. This was done by the applicant, this building here, and they're proposing that with that, it would match exactly what's out here if that dark gray charcoal color was utilized, was selected for this building. Here's the Del Taco that would be directly to the south, showing its color scheme. Here's the McDonald's to the southwest of this building, showing the color scheme that's on that building. Across the street is the multifamily buildings. South of that is the America First building. Over here is where Bout Time has been approved. This is the approved elevation for Bout Time, to give you an example of what that building will look like. Here's the Walgreens building, showing its color palette. Here's the dental chiropractic building that's right there. And then Neaters, Denny's, and the AutoZone building. This item was taken to the June 27th Planning Commission meeting. They did recommend approval, but did recommend the second option utilizing the dark red brick as part of their recommendation to the council. So with that, the applicant is here this evening if you have any questions for the applicant. Otherwise, I'm available. Well,
The applicant wants to come up. Does council any questions for the applicant?
I do.
Okay. Arn?
So are you guys developing this entire thing? Okay, so there's going to be a flow to your colors and architecture through the whole development, right?
We're still working on the entirety of the flow, yes, but hopefully, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we're not getting
Splots of.
hodgepodge of everything over here, yeah, have some type of flow. In the packet, for the item number, there are pictures of actual businesses. Is that just an example of what might be here, or is that?
yeah, that was included as part of the neighborhood meeting. That was what the applicant showed when they had that neighborhood meeting with the applicants.
What might be there?
Yeah.
I'd caution doing that when you're talking to the neighbors, because you show them something like that, and everyone's gonna say, oh, yeah, for sure, that's what I want. And then you turn around, put something else in, and everybody's gonna be mad at you. So I wouldn't, I mean, you could do what you want, but I wouldn't do that.
Thank you.
Because we'll hear about it later,
Oh, we will.
especially with what you put in there. I don't have any other questions. Everything else is complies, so I'm good.
I had one if I may,
Okay.
Mayor. I know this isn't super close to homes, It looks like just across the street, there's a series of, looks like about 4 twin, or not twin, townhomes, yeah, thank you. And I don't have the exact layout in front of me, I don't remember, but was there a drive-through component on this? Is there gonna be any way if, like, are the cars driving towards the back of the homes? If so, with lights and stuff, is there gonna be anything to screen that?
Yes, per code, they will have a 3-foot-high berm that will go along that drive-through following the back to shield those headlights. And that's per code required
Okay.
with the landscaping ordinance.
Yeah, and the road, it goes along the back of the building, which that road runs parallel to the homes that are across the street. So they'll,
Okay, yeah, I just wanna make sure we didn't have lights shining.
As that drive-through goes west to east, they're shining their lights right at those homes, so the berm will be important to make sure
Yes.
it's appropriate
yeah,
height.
that one spot.
Oh, makes the corner.
over there.
Yeah, I thought it makes the turn, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Councilman McComber?
So for me, I appreciate staff looking at this and looking at the color schemes. This is something that's really important. You get these buildings for 30 years, right? I mean, you don't really change colors too much. I think that it makes sense to have it be very similar to the building next to it. And then if we can just keep that consistency, you know, like over by Smith's, they did the same kind of buildings, but different colors, but like they're all that same kind of hue and tone. I like the wood accent pieces that are on the buildings on the, where the boxing, and then they have the sign on top of those that adds texture, it adds quality. I mean, you're gonna make a nice building, but the whole point of this is that we're not Park City. We don't require McDonald's to have an M and not even have the word, and we're not as extreme as them. But we are trying to make Saratoga Springs just as nice as possible. So appreciate, and I think that the boxing building is fine. And if we can sort of match that
Mimic that,
in
yeah.
tone and tenor going forward. So that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, that was our intent.
Maybe I just have a quick question. This is probably a city question. So is that, there's always cars parked on that road and a lot of times on both sides. And that probably will affect us a little bit. Is that a city road? Can we park on there? What is the,
It's a city road.
That's city.
it is here, but they can park there then, right? Whenever they want?
In the day.
Yes, they
Okay.
can. There are probably some people that are taking advantage of that. We see sometimes trucks and other things. But unless we decide to do some signage, it really is kind of
It's a
their.
public road, right?
It is a public road, yes. But like sometimes we'll see cars parked in, but I think there's a couple driveways.
Yes, and they'll park in there, yeah.
And you find people in there and, you know, that's theirs to enforce if they choose to do so.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, because there's a lot, you probably know that there's a lot of cars along that road, and I don't know if it's gonna impact this at all, if they'll stop doing it once we have the sign here, if that's gonna, I mean, not that it's, we can do anything about it because they can park there, right? But just a
Well, and,
question.
you know, theoretically, we could, you know, list it as, you know,
If we needed to or
put parking
something.
restrictions on it, but that's probably a different conversation.
Yeah,
The reality is, the townhomes are underparked,
yes.
as usual.
Agreed, that's why they're there.
And if we do take out the parking, it's just gonna squeeze it into other areas. And again, I think some of the townhome projects over there have pretty aggressive parking
They do,
enforcement.
like you can't, you get booted, yeah.
But again, that's something that we could discuss at a different.
Okay, great.
Okay. Perfect. I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve business item 5, Saratoga Town Center Lot 308 site plan located approximately 1457 North Commerce Road, Joss Moffett applicant, with all staff findings and conditions.
We need to recommend the color
Going
palette.
with option 2, like planning commission? or
Is option 2 the one that matches the building next to it?
Same match, just.
That would
red.
be option 1.
Option one.
Option
Well, option
1,
one,
I think I would rather have it be matching what was already there.
And I'll second that.
Okay, I have a first from Councilman McComber, second from Councilman Carn. Any further discussion? Okay, Carn,
Aye.
Wilden.
Aye.
McComber.
Aye.
Barton.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
So Mayor, I apologize. If I could take a point of privilege on the city council reports, I had a question for staff, if I can, real quick.
Okay.
So we don't get the, you're done. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you. He's like,
You're done.
wait.
Going back up. But we don't see the fireworks stands anymore. Those just go through planning commission, I believe, or not, or just staff approvals. I just have a little bit of a concern. I'm seeing a trend this year that I have never seen before, where people are putting trailers, campers, and they're sleeping next to their booths. I'm concerned that it's setting a precedence that if we're allowing it here, then how do we discriminate against someone parking somewhere else? When we've been having problems with squatters on our lots, in fact, in your neck of the woods. Did we approve them to be able to have a residence on site with
So-
their,
On that, that's been happening for several years now.
I didn't notice it until this year. The one at Holiday, and I
The one at
noticed,
Smith's, they were camping, because I know the people who ran it, and they were camping, because of
Is it
theft
for
issues.
safety? Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. For
A lot of it
so I
is,
get
yeah.
the whole theft issues,
So
but
do
then
I.
have a, like the one at Holiday, they literally could lock the
Mm-hmm.
container, because they have it, it's a container, right? The tent issue, you know what? You can just load it up and unload it.
Or maybe
But
pay somebody
we
to have it like a
cannot-
night security, yeah.
We cannot have people sleeping on these because it is how, we are then discriminating against other people if we allow one to do it and not another.
So we'll take a look at whether or not overnight stays are allowed. So for Walmart, that one might be difficult because they've allowed overnight camping in their parking lot. But for other locations, we'll check and see whether that's an allowed.
And did we approve it as staff when they did their application? Did we say, yes, you can have a trailer? If we did, then that's a real concern.
We'll take a look at that as well.
Thank you, appreciate that. Thank you,
There's
Mayor.
also a motorhome that still sleeps at Vasa. Just saying.
And he uses the showers at Vasa.
Yes, yeah. Just a heads up, it's there
Okay.
24/7.
We'll look into it, thank you.
But thank you. Sorry, thank you, Mayor.
Okay, item 6, amendments to the City of Saratoga Springs Code.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's been a while since I've been here, so thanks for having me back. So this is a request to increase the notice of violation daily fine amount. I'm going to present you two separate options. Obviously, you can pick or choose or modify as you need. Option A is just a straight across the board increase. Right now, our fine amount for notice of violation, daily fines is $25 a day per violation. The first proposal, option A, is to increase that dollar amount to $50 a day. And that daily fine goes 7 days a week, 365 days a year until it's either adjudicated by the administrative law judge or the property's been abated by the city. So those fines don't ever stop, they just keep going. Option B is a tiered or a stepped fine. The idea behind this is for the first 10 days after their deadline to comply, it's a $50 a day fine, and day 11 and on until it's either adjudicated or it's abated, it goes to $100 a day. The idea behind the tiered program is, while doing research on what other cities and counties and municipalities are doing, I had 13 responses. I reached out to like 60 different individuals, got 13 responses. All the responses I got, their fines for the NOVs were somewhere between $25 and $300 a day. Some cities and counties, they base it off of whether it's a residential property or commercial, if it's a homeowner or a rental. So it's a wide array, just to give you an idea of where we're at with that. We're on the low end at $25.
Really quick, just kind of on that tiered thing. for
Sure.
Like businesses and stuff, I'd rather see us be a little more lenient, maybe 25 for the first 10, 50 for the next 10, then jump to 100. But when it comes to rentals, because we got brown yard weed rentals, jump that one to 50 to 100, it's a bit, it's different.
Yeah, I would go
They're
for
not
different
paying it-
zoning, yeah.
So I do have a question. This is after you've given them warnings and.
Yeah, so this is-
So I actually don't think that we should give businesses
This is,
longer time to cheat the system.
we give them the notice, why don't you walk through the notice process?
Yeah, because there's a long time that they know about it.
Yeah, so as code enforcement for the city, we have all the different tools that are available to us. The notice of violation is the most severe. We can make phone calls, emails, knock on your door, all that, playing nice with residents and businesses to try and get them into compliance before we get to the point. The notice of violation is the most severe. This starts kind of the court process and that administrative process. starts those daily fines for noncompliance.
But what leads up to that? How many days before you actually would do?
So it varies on the violation for.
Average.
Average 14 days. Average 14 days. It depends on the violation. If it's something easy as, I need you to cut your weeds down or cut your grass, 14 days. If it's something more severe, hey, you've got an illegal rental, I need you to cut your grass, and they have maybe multiple violations, it might take them longer to come into compliance. So we usually will work with residents as long as they're making progress towards compliance. This is the end stage of that.
And
where-
we work with businesses too. If
Yeah,
they're making-
it's the
But
same.
you don't NOV if they're making progress,
Well, so a lot of times we don't see any progress until we issue an NOV.
okay?
So we try the working with residents, knocking on the doors, that kind of thing first.
And I notice a violation starts a shot clock before fine.
Pretty much, yes.
And what's the shot clock for that? About 14 days?
On average, yeah. Roughly. I mean, they can vary, right? So sometimes.
Somebody could be getting 2-3 months
Of cheating.
Let's work together, yeah.
Well, but
Is-
and some of them are actually using it to get signage and things to cheat the
I would
system.
like to see the A's court not be able to waive the first 10 days worth of fees. If it's $50, it's $500. That has to, they can't waive it to zero like they have been.
Okay.
Now, above that, they can have discretion, is be non-waivable. If they go that far and they've had 14 days, that's 24 days. We've spent tax dollars, resources. We need to at least recover 10 of it at a base, and then the judge can have discretion what they want to do after the fine jumped.
One thing we do when we're in court, we definitely we request the judge and the judge complies, or the judge does make this as part of the order, but fines are rarely waived. They're stayed until correction. And we agree that there probably needs to be some toning down of the eventual waiving of fines, but there's never any waiver of fine unless there's full compliance. They're always stayed until the property comes into compliance.
But I agree with the mayor, even though they're
Yeah.
stayed, I think there needs to be a stay, but still like you can only then waive or stay the fine after a certain amount.
I'm just gonna say, I would be a little cautious with that, because I've seen in my own neighborhood, like, a single individual in their late 70s that went to their daughter's house. Doesn't mean that they get a free ride to keep their yard upkeep, but things happen. And then we're saying, we're gonna hit someone $500, they were out, people can get to I don't think that's right. So there needs to be allowance for some common sense, not that I agree with what our administrative judge is doing. And I'm not saying you're doing that either or whatever, I'm just saying we need to have some allowance for those type of situations.
$500 fee would be almost an entire month of noncompliance.
Yeah, and you'll get older people visit their kids for 90 days.
Call your elders.
And the whole idea here is that we've tried those other ways to work around, like in your neighborhood with the people visiting or whatever. That's the beginning stages. This is the end stage where we've been through that, we've tried to talk to them, we've sent them notices, we've done all the legwork to try and get them before it gets to this stage. This is, hey, we either haven't heard from you, we can't get a hold of you, we don't know what's going on, you're not doing anything, so we're gonna start the process.
And I wasn't pointing to a specific example, because
Right.
usually what happens is I get annoyed and go and take care of their yard. That's the reality of things. I just, yeah.
So this is definitely, if you want to call it this is more, I guess, a hammer, right? Where we've tried, the communication, talking with people, working with people as much as we can. And when I say that as long as they make progress, we work with them, it has to be substantial progress. If somebody needs to cut their grass and they take their 22-inch lawnmower out and make one strip down the side, that doesn't count in my book. I'm sorry. You need to actually make real progress. So this is the most severe thing that I can do to someone, write them and issue them a notice of violation. What I'm proposing here for option B with the tiered system doesn't differentiate between rentals, businesses, residential. It's the dollar amounts are the same regardless. And this is per violation. So if a property has multiple violations, these dollar amounts compound on each other. So it's $50 per violation per day. So if you have 3 or 4 violations, the dollar amounts go pretty substantially higher, obviously. The idea behind a tiered system, what I'm getting from my counterparts in other municipalities, is that this is, if you want to analogize this, it's a carrot and a stick. Here's your carrot to come into compliance quickly. Even though we've gotten to this point, here's your carrot to do it now before the dollar amount really starts going up. And they're finding that most of the time, people get these notice of violations, they see the dollar amounts, and the $25 right now, particularly for businesses, doesn't scare them enough to really want to do anything. So, you know, a residential property, $25 can add up quickly. It's enough. Most of the time we get compliance. Businesses, not so much. So this is, in effect, would be trying to get the compliance quickly, done quicker. I do like keeping the $500 though. We'll have to talk about that, but that's not part of this proposal.
You can come back with that.
Yeah, we can come back with that.
I mean, I actually was in a business, didn't identify myself as a city council member, and I was like, wow, those signs are nice. How come none of your neighbors have those sticker signs in their windows, you know, just see what they said? And like, oh yeah, the city says we can't do it, but we write it off on our taxes as a marketing expense, the fees, penalties that we receive from the city.
Right, and just as an example, I will not use any name. Right now, I have a case, a business in the city. They have expressly told me we'll just continue to pay the fine. It's part of doing business.
Yeah, and they write it off as a tax.
And they have no inclination. They will not attend court hearing. They made a payment just the other day. They paid their fine and it's going to continue. So so for them, a $1,500 fine.
It's like nothing.
Well, they get to keep doing what they're doing, and it's just part of doing business.
I will say, I'm fully supportive of option 2. Down the road, if you have a commercial business like that and it's something serious, I would be fine with $10,000 a day. I know, like, but if we can distinguish between commercial down the road and research that, 10,000 is a little extreme. But if there's a business that's blatantly like ignoring us and it's a serious violation and it's gone on for a year.
Yeah, I try not to let cases go anywhere near that long, so
Yeah.
I try. Sometimes landscaping.
But you said the company was Karn Enterprises?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Can we ask you what your recommendation would be, or can we not do that? Like, what is there something that would work better on for you?
My opinion would be option B.
The tiered system?
Yeah, just from what I'm hearing from my counterparts.
Okay.
That have enacted this, and there was about 5 different cities that had enacted something similar to this already.
And that's been more effective?
They
okay.
see that as working a lot better. Right now, one of the things, and we'll have to talk about this too later, is we only hold our administrative court once every couple of months right now. And so with the higher dollar amounts, I think we're gonna need to up that frequency as well. Because otherwise, you're gonna have those fines going for 2-3 months.
Well, Brad, they're stayed though, once they request the hearing.
Yeah.
The fines don't continue to accrue, but.
Right.
But yeah, it would make sense to up that, and that's something you can talk with the city manager.
Yeah, we'd have to talk about that, but.
But I just calculated like at $100 a day after the 11th day, plus the first 10 days is $50 a day. That's $36,000 a year. And we actually have had cases back when the recession was going on and homes sat vacant for months. We had like plus $10,000 fines all the time. And that it seems pretty severe. If the council goes with option 2 though, I would request one amendment. I just caught this. It says starting from the 11th day, it should say starting on the 11th day. So if you can make that change in your motion.
Councilman Carn?
So this brings up PTSD from being in an HOA for so long. I want to make sure, and I'm sure you do a good job of this, that we are documenting before we notice a violation, because it's so easy for someone to say, I didn't know. And we can say, well, we put a note on your door. We called you. We left a message. Well, I didn't get any of those. Why, I didn't know about this. So that's one thing. Make sure that we're, taking pictures of notes on the door, documenting, call on this day. We don't want people to be able to cop out of it, right? Because we never talk to them. The other thing is going from 25 to 50, I mean, that's a 100% increase in the hammer. I'd be more for option one, and see how it works. You know, if we had to come back, we'd come back, but I guess I don't feel super strong about it, so,
But he's talked to other cities and they feel like it's worked for them
Yeah.
to do option two. so.
yeah.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve business item 6 as stated on the agenda, including staff findings and conditions, selecting option B.
The second.
Okay, I have a first from Councilman Wilden, a second from Councilwoman Barton. Any further discussion?
Can you modify that and say starting on the 11th day instead of from? Just avoid that possible confusion on the interpretation.
Amending starting on the, amending it to
change-
start on the 11th day.
Change the from to on.
As per attorney's recommendation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, we have an amended
I'll second the amendment.
second, as per the attorney's recommendation. Okay, McComber,
Aye.
Carn,
Aye.
Wilden.
Aye.
Barton.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We have item 7, amendments to the Title 19. Address and street naming.
Let me pull this over here. Good evening, Mayor and Council, again. This has been a long time, we've worked on this addressing code for quite a while now, working with GIS, with Brian Gallegos, and Emergency Services, Planning, Public Works, everybody that we could possibly get, and legal, to get our hands in this and make sure we're doing this correctly. One of the biggest reasons that we've gone through the addressing code is duplication. And with all of the density that we're gaining, like in North Shore, where we have alleyways, townhomes that are, their rears or their garage doors are facing each other and it's just an alley, we've found that we've had a lot of duplications. North Shore, we've had to send out numerous affidavits to change addresses, and it's really difficult for residents to change their addresses. So we've gone through this code and have made several changes to it throughout. Kevin came back, and from the very beginning, we were focusing just on duplication and street naming, and he came up and we went through it again and again to make sure we got everything caught. So we just have, I don't know if there's anything specific that you have questions on. There's quite a few changes, just talking about numbering, updating certain language to be correct and complete with our city at this time. So any questions?
I just have a question. So this is adding additional staff time to be able to put the coordinates for numbers, and are we going to be charging more in terms of the application of the permit to cover these kinds
So
of?
that's actually already happening. So GIS, actually, because it's a data-driven thing and we need to make sure we're not duplicating street names and addresses, we actually assign the addresses. So Brian's got a system down for GIS to make sure that we're already.
So we're doing it now, code's saying we're doing it.
Correct.
So we've been
Yeah.
doing the good practice, but code wasn't reflecting
Correct.
that, okay. And then it's already built into the
Brian's
fees.
time,
yeah.
yeah. Is it not?
I don't know. I would
We
have to
can- we
look
can
that up.
check that.
We can check that, though.
Just making sure, I mean, if we're doing the activity already, now it's in code, we just want to make sure that we are covering that cost because it is helpful. We're doing the work for the developer.
Good catch.
Does this have anything in here? I see the Boulevard Parkway, that is a duplicate. I appreciate that. But like, for example, Google Maps and Apple Maps are just struggling with Saratoga Springs. One, because Lehigh snuck in and has a peninsula. We have businesses that are saying they are in Lehigh, but they're really in Saratoga Springs. What, do we have anything in terms of code where a business can apply for a request from us so that they can send, that we can make sure that Google is, I mean, we need to be working and partnering with our businesses to help them because they're getting pushback from the mapping systems. And it's very difficult for businesses today because nobody gets directions like, oh, turn left on this road, turn right on this road. It's, you type it in and it's the map. And then the other problem that Google's having is, for example, driving on Mountain View, you come up to Harvest Hills Boulevard, but it's actually Wildflower to the right and Harvest to the left, but we've only put Harvest Hills Boulevard on the sign.
We send updates to them regularly, and they tend to ignore us as well.
They ignore us, but we still only have Harvest Hills Boulevard on Mountain View going southbound. It doesn't say Harvest Hills Boulevard with an arrow this way and Wildflower with an arrow this way, which drives me nuts that we do that. It should just be Harvest Hills Boulevard. It works with Wildflower. They can harvest Wildflower. You can eat dandelions, but it should have just been Harvest Hills Boulevard all the way. Again, I hate these duplicate names because the neighborhoods, again, Jim and I, sorry, Mayor Miller and I, have fought for 15 years to try and make this the city of Saratoga Springs Inn. It's not that you live in Harvest Hills, you don't live in the Benches, you don't live in Lake Mountain. You are a member of Saratoga Springs. By allowing these street names to do this, it's saying Wildflower is different or better or whatever than Harvest Hills, et cetera, and all these different name changes when you go different directions. It's very confusing for the driver, especially younger drivers.
As far as Google goes, they use a lot of recordation from the county. So we have to make sure that our addressing is correct when we submit that for recordation. The affidavits that Brian's been working tirelessly to make because it becomes very confusing, and that's what we found, that it's become very confusing. Now, whether or not Google has caught up to that, I don't know. I mean, I've registered a business before, and Google it was a challenge. We had to work with the post office. We had to, it was a tireless process. We finally got it right, and we finally got the address correct for the business, but getting it on Google Maps and having it as a searchable item is challenging. But yeah, I think that interface, Brian would probably be able to explain that a little bit better.
I had to ship
But,
something
yeah.
to my house the other day with 84043 because it would not recognize that 84045 is Saratoga Springs, and it's been 7 to 10 years now.
Yeah.
It's or more. And so just as a city, what are we doing from an economic development? This is really tying into that. How are we helping our businesses? And with people buying things directly to their homes so much more than ever before, we just need to do what we can. I just wanted to bring it up here because this is the street naming. To me, it applies.
Broader topic. But
Yeah, but it applies because we've opened up the entire code, and I was disappointed to see that we didn't talk about the duplicate naming and preventing that in the future.
You mean as far as
Harvest Hills
Harvest Hill,
Boulevard,
you mean the separate,
Anything like that.
the
Medical Drive.
medical, yeah. I
same
mean,
parallel, or,
it's the same intersection,
section.
one direction.
Right.
What is it?
Well, it's Parkway Boulevard, Founders Boulevard.
Parkway Founders Boulevard, because
We do it all over the place.
Founders,
And we did because it was a private street versus public street.
no, Founders isn't.
Parkway is.
Parkway
Parkway
is.
is.
We had this conversation a couple weeks ago, just to follow up to the council. I think I did this in email, but just to circle back. We approached the businesses.
Yeah, and they didn't want to.
And they didn't want it.
I'm
So-
okay, I'm okay with
In the
grandfathering in, but why aren't we doing something in code to stop this from happening in the future so that we don't have to go back and change businesses' names? I'm just sick of how we are becoming this hodgepodge, and it's
Yeah.
not good for firefighters, it's not good for police.
so we've
UPS drivers.
as planners, we have actually incorporated the addressing into our checklist now. So we're helping GIS to where, because it's a big, it's a hefty process to check number, addressing, street names, all of that. So now we have more eyes on it. Now we're very aware we've got this. We're going to update our checklist to include addressing. I don't know if you've seen that yet, if it's come through yet, but you will see that at the end of our checklist, we now have addressing. So I think we'll be able to catch it quicker. I mean.
We have actually situations where you're driving through a neighborhood, not even on a main street, and the name of the street changes because you went into
A different neighborhood.
another neighborhood.
Yeah. Just because a new development comes in shouldn't
By the
mean
new development, they
it
want to
shouldn't
have.
be a change of street name so it matches Heron Hill.
Yes.
I mean, if it's Lehigh, it's Lehigh, fine.
Yeah.
We want to do that. But if it's
Saratoga,
Saratoga
we
Springs to
should
Saratoga Springs, if it's on a street to street, I get the whole private street, public street. But at the same time, you can have it still be the same name and you can have a blue sign and a green sign. So really, it becomes very confusing.
Yeah. So, we're working on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move approval of business item 7 as stated on the agenda.
Second.
I have a first from Councilman Wilden, a second from Councilman Carn. Any further discussion? Barton.
Aye.
Carn.
Aye.
Comber.
Aye.
Wilden.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Item 8, general plan amendments for various city-owned properties.
I don't have any questions on this one, do we have?
Let's see.
I got tons.
You got, it's like most of us know this one pretty well.
Okay, Mayor and Council, this and the next item could be considered housekeeping items in just trying to clean up our zoning and our general plan land use maps in what we feel is a more appropriate designation or potential use needs on these properties. So we've discussed this previously. A couple years ago, we did an amendment to the zoning on Patriot Park. We changed the zoning there to be IC or institutional, civic institutional, because we wanted to have more opportunities for development and use on that particular park. And now we've decided we need to look at that same situation on other city-owned properties. City Council amended last month, or not last month, last meeting, or 2 meetings ago, anyway, on the 18th of June, an amendment to our code for the permitted uses in the institutional civic zone. So that was anticipating this zone change coming up. So to benefit the use of city parks and marinas and such. So we've identified several properties owned by the city and just listing them here briefly. The Public Works Facility site and the RC Airplane Park. Got some funky boundaries there, but that is according to the property ownership. So all the green would be changed to blue, which is the institutional civic. We've got the North Marina property, currently zoned mixed residential and land use mixed waterfront. We want to have some opportunities there for additional uses and development.
Why's that zone mixed residential?
That's how it came in.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
South Marina, same thing, showing the properties there, zoned currently R110. You got the South Fire Station on Ring Road, which will eventually expand further into that particular property. So we would like to enjoy additional opportunities there rather than keeping it the neighborhood commercial zone, which
You're
is
talking
not
about
a.
just the front half of Ring.
Yeah. And then we have the North Fire Station property, which is part of the park there. So there are potential opportunities with the bike trail and bike uses that we could take advantage of different things with the IC zone on that property as well. So this does change. In the staff report, there is a chart there that shows what the current zoning, current land use designation is, and then proposing to change all of those as necessary to the land use of institutional civic and the zone of institutional civic. Any questions?
Our trail system, is that, what is that, just zone, whatever they're in?
That whatever zone it falls through. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, also, just to mention here, as shown here, we are amending the code on just on the purpose statement of that particular, just adding, as well as some limited and ancillary commercial uses to benefit the public and the use of certain facilities.
Can you remind me the notification requirements for these?
So it was a 300-foot, since this is all city-owned properties, we're the applicant, but it was noticed to 300 feet surrounding these properties.
Did we hear from anybody?
I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve item 8, business item 8, as listed on the agenda, ordinance 24-30 dated today.
I have a first from Councilman McComber,
Oh, there are no staff findings in council, correct?
No.
Thank you.
Second.
second from Councilwoman Barton. Any further discussion? McComber.
Aye.
Carn.
Aye.
Barton.
Aye.
Wilden.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We have the general plan amendment for rural residential to natural open space.
Okay, so again, looking at our general plan land use map, we determined that we had a little funky thing happen last time we updated our land use map. We wanted to look at all those properties on Lake Mountain and determine the best use there, and we found that there were some little canyon areas. Again, the location here, you'll notice with the light green showing the canyon areas that the slope was not as significant as the dark green, and so there could be some developability of that property. So that's why the colors were changed a couple years ago with the general plan update. However, in looking at it from a city service use ability or serviceability of those properties, it was determined that this has not been accounted for. These little canyon areas has not been accounted for services. And so it would be best to turn those areas back into the adjacent use, which is natural open space. So again, this is a housekeeping thing on behalf of the city. All of that property shown there is BLM land. We have sent notice to them, but we never hear from them. We send notices, so.
Bureaucracy.
Pretty straightforward.
It's all ag zone today?
Yeah, well, it's outside of the city right
Okay,
now.
all right.
So there is no zoning on it. This is a land use designation.
Yep.
But again, in our general plan, we generally plan utilities and other things for those as part of our future projections. So this will take those out so that argument couldn't be made in the future either.
Great.
Okay, I'll entertain a
I
motion.
move to approve business item 9, general plan amendment from rural residential to natural open space for BLM land on the west side canyons of Lake Mountain, Utah County parcel as listed on the agenda, ordinance 2431, with any staff findings and conditions.
I have a first from Carn,
Second?
second from McComber. Any further discussion? Barton.
Aye.
McComber.
Aye.
Wilden.
Aye.
Carn.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Really quickly, if you can remember, Councilmember Carn asked that we go through the general use map, general plan, and remove, was it the office warehouse, right?
No, I want to
Oh.
remove,
The high density,
High
yeah.
density.
Yes, so that will be coming forward to
I
you.
would even entertain medium density, because we have so much of it in the DAP.
On the south end, we've identified both medium density and high density, just on the Teguayo area.
Let's take both of those.
Because we have them in the DAP and in Teguayo.
We have
them.
plenty.
We have plenty.
Yeah,
So if we can remove that from the
but
general,
we're starting that will be coming forward to you.
thank you.
One other quick thing with the school, when they were going to buy the property from the LDS Church for the new high school, it was supposed to be annexed into Saratoga Springs. Where are we at with that?
Yeah, we have been in communication with both the school and the church recently. They've got a few little things trying to iron out between the two of them, but they are both anxious to get that going. So we have not yet received their application, but we're following up with them.
But I think, Mark, I'd like the city to just kind of push that as the applicant to get that into the city.
We've offered that, we're working
Okay,
Yeah, that's a good partnership.
perfect. Okay, thank you. We have need for closed session. I'll entertain a motion.
So made.
First from McComber, second from Carn, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Lucky, leave. Those who get to leave.